again. Star of the show today is a, well, pretty old SLR with lots of possibilities. Why did I buy this one? Well, to be honest, I have enough SLRs, enough cameras, but this one I didn't even knew the brand. I did not see them before, but I saw this one in an advertisement and I loved it because of all the dials and the way it is built, and it looks very solid, and I can tell you it is very solid. It almost weighs 1 kilo. 950 grams to be precisely. And it feels like this, and it's almost like a steampunk kind of dials and switches, and simply beautiful. Well, what is it? It is the Edixa Mat-Reflex Mod S-L. There are several models of the Edixa. They all vary a little bit. Some have a light meter. This one doesn't. It's a very down-to-earth, well, it's not so down-to-earth because I think it's very complexly made, but in features, it is a very simple camera, but nevertheless I think a true gem. Let me first tell you about the normal and the usual things you can find on cameras like this. Shutter advance lever goes very sturdy with the counter on top of it. The shutter release button is here. It's, well, normally it's about here, but here is also okay as a position for the shutter release button. You set the shutter speed over here, and it has a shutter speed from a bulb 1/30th of a second to 1/500th of a second. And the funny thing is that underneath you have an extra dial here, and you can set this dial. There's a little hole in it, and you can set it on the numbers 0, 8, 4, 2 and 1. These actually, you set the slow shutter speeds. To do so, you set this one to 1/30th of a second here, and see it like this, 1/30th of a second, and then you can set it here like 1/8 of a second, 1/4 of a second, half a second, and 1 second. So in this way you set the slow shutter speeds. A bit of a complex system, but well, actually it works, and this is the fastest shutter speed. Like I said before, this is the counter, and you can see it's very funny when you turn the lever. It just moves one little dot. Here you have the rewind knob with inside a little dial where you can set the sensitivity of the film you have put in the camera. On the bottom of the camera, a screw for the tripod and a rewind release button. On the front, you see here it is a little knob here, and this is to lock the shutter release button. If I put it like this, cock the shutter, nothing happens, it's locked. And to make it, to de-lock it, to open it, you have to switch it to this side, and then it goes like this. It's a very, it feels very heavy, the camera. It's really... On the back, to open it, the camera, you do like this, and here you see it's not a metal shutter, it's a cloth shutter. For the rest it's normal, it's like every other SLR. Some have metal shutters, this one has a cloth shutter. On the front you also have 2 sockets for a flash. The top one is for a bulb flash, and the socket under it is for a normal electronic flash. Now you might see here this looks like the little screw hole where you normally put in the wire for the shutter release. It's a similar system. As you can see, there is no button here to see the depth of field. Now if you put in a button here like for the cable release and you press it, then the aperture is activated. So it's actually in here you put a little button or the shutter release wire to close the aperture to see the depth of field. Very, very funny. I think this lens came with the camera when it was sold. I've never heard of it. I must admit I have not made any pictures with this camera yet, but for the price, really, I paid 48 euros including postage from Sweden. That was the price of this camera. Why did I buy it? Well, like I said before, because it has this beautiful, it's not a camera, it's an optical mechanical device. You know, it's a machine, it's a beautiful mechanical machine. And what it also does is this. You can take this off and then you have a, well, waist view camera. For this you can buy an extra mount like this with a waist viewfinder in it with a magnifying glass. So there are some accessories you can buy, you can put there, but look at it. Beautiful, beautiful. The image you get through the viewfinder and through this waist viewfinder is very bright and very clear, remarkably clear. Now to put it back, you have to see there's a little lip here, should fall under it, and then you just press, and then, well, it's done again, it's connected. This camera doesn't have a cold shoe, but it has a little accessory. This, a cold shoe you can screw on the viewfinder. Like I said before, there are some nice accessories for this camera, so I've seen. Like this. Right. So, let's get this on because I want to show you another thing. Right. Look at it. Cold shoe is on it. Now, I've shown this in another review about the Ali gadgets for cameras. This camera doesn't have a light meter, and like I said, it's very heavy, it's 1 kilo. And what I don't like in general is holding the camera in one hand and holding a light meter in the other hand, because I have to fiddle with the light meter as well to adjust the wheels, the dial wheels, etc. So I'm not a big fan of a separate light meter just because of practicality. And you always have to put one thing in your bag if you want to operate the other thing with 2 hands. So that is why I bought this one. A review is on, like I said, in another video of me here with the gadgets from Ali. And it doesn't look bad on it either. I mean, this is a camera from 1962. And, well, you know, it's from the previous century. And on top of it you have a nice gadget from the 21st century. I think it goes very well, and it makes the camera more impressive to me to look at. Now, when I got this camera, it was functioning, but after trying 3 or 4 times playing with it, you know, with the shutter, the aperture, etc., the mirror wouldn't come down anymore. I want to give you this tip because the same story goes for other mechanical SLRs. So I didn't want to remove the top cover because, you know, it looks kind of complicated, everything. If you only look at the dial, the film dial system, this here and this little lever here for the slow shutter speeds, you know, it for me it looked too complicated just to remove it and try to find what the problem might be of a not returning mirror. But I also think that problem should not be here, but more here, around here in the camera, or on the bottom. I've realized that on the bottom of the cameras a lot of mechanical wheels and levers are active to control the shutter and also the mirror. So I removed the bottom plate. I fiddled a little bit with a screwdriver on this side, and I noticed a little wheel that after pressing the shutter release, the wheel returned, but not to the original position it should return to. And if it did return to the original position, it would have touched a lever which would have unlocked the mirror. So what I did was I tried to make the wheel go back to its original position like it should be. To do so, I cleaned it I took a brush, a little brush for painting, but for model painting, some 96% alcohol, and cleaned it here, because here was dust and the debris of oil and lubricant, too much lubricant, and it became dusty. And you know, I'm not a fan of lubrication, because that combination of oil, always dust comes in, and in the end it will stick and the camera will fail, always. So I cleaned it away without, because if you open it you will see it's also on this side it's very, very complex. It's not as a Practica or even an Olympus, but here are lots of springs, wheels, levers, etc. It's pretty complex. So I did want to take the wheel out. That was the problem. I only put the 96% alcohol on it with a brush a few times, and cocked the shutter, released it, cocked the shutter, released it, and it actually worked. So I repeated the same treatment a few times, and then I added a little bit of Teflon spray from a spray. I was once told by a guy who repairs old cameras that, first of all, he said, I hardly use any lubricant, but if I have to use lubricant, he said, I use Teflon. And because Teflon greases, it's lubricating, but Teflon also has the positive thing that it does not react with plastic parts. Some lubricants react with plastic parts. Well, I can tell you there are no plastic parts in it here. It's almost a kilo, like I said before, so mostly it's metal. But the Teflon itself also does not get sticky when it gets older. And that is, you know, I think very important. Nevertheless, you know, I repaired it like that, and it's still working. So my advice also is to you, you know, if you encounter a problem like this, try the alcohol first to clean some levers, some wheels on the point where you think, you know, it is the problem. And it saves you from dismantling, disassembling the whole camera. Like I said, this camera was 48 euros, and I bought it because the way it looks, but also because it can handle M42 lenses. And there are a lot of M42 lenses for sale. They don't cost much. And I happen to have some M42 lenses, including some nice portrait lenses, 105mm from Pentax, it fits on this. Some nice wide-angle lenses. So, you know, all in all, I didn't really need it, but it looked so beautiful, and it looked so, yeah, just, you know, like I said, it's a mechanical optical device. It's not a camera, it's more than that. Well, I think this is about it on this camera. I just wanted to show you this as an alternative for all the expensive cameras you can buy, but let's face it, this one is 63 years old, still functioning. It even looks very, very good. You know, the condition is still very, very good. Lots of lenses cheap for sale for this one. You can do everything you want with this camera as with the expensive Leicas and the expensive Nikons, etc. So also consider this one. They go between 30 and 50 euros. And you know, it's just a nice piece of machinery to have. And I think they suit beginners only when the beginner has a light meter like this. And advanced photographers, this I think is a tool you must have, because it will last for another 60 years. Well, if you have any remarks on this camera, or if you have any questions, or better, if you have more information about this camera, about the other models, for instance, please list it below in the comment section. If you have questions, I will try to answer them and get back to you as soon as possible. For now, thank you for watching again, and until the next time.